Hi, Gerhard Bloom, once again looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So, is the United States military, is it an imperialist force? This anti-American rhetoric has been at work for decades and is eating away at the foundations of Western civilization and undermining the morale of American servicemen and women. It's shameful. Jimmy Carter's UN ambassador asserted that American foreign policy is an apparatus of repression, and imperialism, neocolonialism, capitalism, and what have you. This is the representative of the United States speaking to the UN, condemning the United States as some involved in neocolonialism and imperialism. It is shameful. And this was said during the Cold War. During the Cold War, American UN ambassador condemning the United States. By this time, Soviet socialist utopias and communist utopias rather had by that time already killed millions of their own citizens. That's right, millions of their own citizens killed by these communist governments, and this US ambassador to the UN is condemning the United States? Whose side is this person on? And how deluded can they possibly be? And perhaps you didn't know that historians call the period from the end of the Second World War until today the Long Peace. The Long Peace. That's right. Notwithstanding the various minor wars and conflicts, the world has never known such a period of relative peace and stability, including during the Roman Empire. It has been the United States and the strength of its military that has secured global peace and stability. And leftists are undermining its strength deliberately. And Biden is driving numerous countries around the globe to hedge their bets with China. That's right, they don't trust that weakling Biden. He's wrong on every foreign policy decision he ever made, and he is creating massive global instability. So the US, an imperialist force, Nazi Germany, that was an imperialist country. Japan was a murderous imperialist country. The horrors visited upon the Chinese people by the Japanese during the Second World War far exceed those visited upon countries captured by Nazi Germany. And I'm not including, of course, the horrors of the Holocaust, which are unique in the annals of history. Mechanized murder. Following the Second World War, the Soviet Union, by way of contrast, placed Eastern Europe under totalitarian control, the Iron Curtain. It also sent millions of its people to slave labor camps. Many worked to death in horrific conditions. And what did the United States do after the Second World War? Well, it spent billions of its own dollars in rebuilding both Germany and Japan. And Japan's constitution, the initial drafts, were written by Americans to ensure peace, stability, and popular sovereignty. That doesn't sound like an imperialist country to me. And it certainly didn't engage in imperialist exploitation. Slave labor, no, not a little bit. Everything, any trade was mutual trade to each country's advantage. And South Korea today is free because American will was not undermined by leftist lies, unlike Vietnam. This leftist ideology is disastrously wrong and is undermining global stability. Leftists, global internationalists, put their faith in the UN and other globalist institutions. And by the way, Biden's ambassador to the UN continued this shaming of the United States on the world stage, attacking the United States. In a speech to the UN General Assembly, she asserted that the original sin of slavery was weaved white supremacy into our founding documents and principles. It's a lie. It's a slanderous lie. Martin Luther King, he pointed to those very principles and ideals in the Constitution and said, look, You're not living up to them. Not that slavery and white supremacy was woven into the Constitution. No, he said, you know, the Constitution where all men are created equal, I'm a man. I deserve to be treated equally, with equal dignity to a white man or a white woman. In a summit between China and the United States, as the U.S. was ever so gently trying to chide China for its egregious human rights abuses, Chinese diplomats threw the self-admitted, although nonsensical crimes of the United States right back at the American officials. They couldn't say too much now, could they? Because they indicted themselves. The problem with these globalist institutions is that China, Russia, Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea, Iran, and others have absolutely no regards for individual rights or democracies. These countries continue to use the forums such as the UN to cynically exploit the UN, to shame the United States, and to advance their ideological and political ends. I hope you will check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. It's available on Amazon. I promise you it's important. Not because I wrote it. The issues could not be more important. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Bye-bye.